You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the SM Media Euro 2020 show. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. This is a show for the first time in months. We've got the dream team. We've got all four of the top team here at SM Media to do the show. Wilson, how are we?
Fine, thanks, Scott. Just back from Angie's press conference today, where I questioned the support of several of our SPL officials and some of the compliance officers. So I'm buzzing today. You know, I've finally met the man, so it's good to be on tonight.
Very good. Shankers, how are we?
I am good, Scott. Just off the back of a game of golf there and we get knocked out, so hopefully this last match.
Here's hoping. Rory Lloyd's here as well. Rory, how are we?
Yes, all good. Not too bad at all. Nice to get some domestic stories on the go as well tonight, as well as the European stuff.
Definitely. Well, we're obviously, this is the Euro 2020 show, so we'll talk. Our focus is mainly going to be about the Euros, but we'll start off. We'll bring our old show back into this a wee bit. Ange Postecoglou's press conference was today. Spoke really well. Wilson, what do you think? The first impressions of Postecoglou after the press conference today?
I mean, he's a very good orator. You know, he answered the questions. I think with, unfortunately, so far the limited knowledge that he possibly has. I think he's come into Celtic at a time where I don't think, in my opinion, Celtic should have gambled as much. I think they should have went with someone a wee bit more tried and tested, because there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on him with every signing, and there always is at Celtic and Rangers. Let's not kid ourselves. But from such a shambolic season, and there's obviously in the last few days, there's obviously been a wee bit of Neil Lennon's getting a bit of airtime to air his gripes and grievances over the season and blame the tea lady and everyone else for the misgivings. So I'd expect another few Celtic employees probably to be in the firing line as well, possibly, if he's given Lee Griffiths a bit of stick, etc. But as I said, it's such, for me, and I know every appointment, every player's a gamble, but I think it makes it worse when it's been such a poor season. It's been a poor season PR-wise in terms of the whole Dubai debacle. It's been a poor season in the relationship with the Celtic supporters and selling season tickets. Now, I know you have a loyal fan base and they'll probably sell out regardless. But Dominic Mackay's in his first appointment, you know, and I sometimes think if you get your first appointment wrong, you don't necessarily recover unless you act swiftly. Thought Peter Lawwell on the board under Lennon. I mean, I've been very vocal about that. In terms of they should have sacked Lennon after the first Old Firm defeat, but they let that go on. Kilmarnock in the same position, you know, they maybe kept Alex Dyer on a bit longer. I've paid the ultimate price. So Dominic Mackay's got to get this right, because you've seen, unfortunately, the stick that Peter Lawwell got. And if this guy, you know, carries on what the season was previous, then I think both of them could be in trouble early doors. I think he will get some money to spend. It won't be the Celtic way to go and spend 30-40 million on
Mother did this from our bed tonight. He's a shouting he's done it.
It's because about Celtic, Rory sleeping. If it was about Rangers, it'd be, you know, with the pen and paper taking notes. It's because about Celtic. But I still think it's a massive gamble.
Rory, what's your thoughts on
it? Listen, Wilson makes a lot of good points there. The problem is Wilson wants someone tried and tested. It's just a case of, was there somebody available who was tried and tested, you know, at the price point Celtic were looking at. In terms of Postecoglou, it's very difficult to pass judgment. You know, none of us know anything about him, so we're going to need to give him a bit of time to try and implement his own ideas and bring his own players in and things. So, you know, kind of some of the players they've been linked with, like your boy Hickey and things, is it him that's making these signings? Is it him that's, you know, that's having the power to go out and make his own signings? That I think will come over time, but you know, they're going to need to get some form of players in the door soon. Listen, it's an unknown quantity. It's very, very difficult to judge Ange Postecoglou. So kind of Wilson's touching on the hierarchy there and saying, well, if it doesn't work out, it could heap even more pressure on them, which is true. It's an interesting one, but it's a very difficult one to pass comment on until maybe 2-3 months into the season, till things start to take shape. If it was any other club or team out with Rangers and Celtic, I'd be saying 7-8 months in, but it's not how it works at Rangers and Celtic.
Shankers, do you kind of go along with that yourself? Was there any kind of thoughts you've got on it?
No, I agree with Wilson. I think it's a gamble, considering last season, as Rory says, any other club, you get time at any of the Old Firm teams. They want instant success and results straight away. So he is going to be judged. I don't know if this is what they've been doing at Celtic. I don't think the 12-month rolling contract is a vote of confidence, to be honest. I think say they go and get Eddie Howe or something like that. Has Eddie Howe got a 12-month rolling contract? You're going to try and get him in a 3-year deal, because if it's a good year and he's away, you know what I mean? So I don't know if that gives me a vote of confidence, but it's similar to Pedro Caixinha at Rangers. Got a manager that doesn't really know the league. Is it worth the gamble? I don't really think it is, but Rory says we just need to give him time, and we'll soon find out.
Definitely. We'll move on to the Euro show. We're going to split this into 2 parts. We're going to do our team of the group stage so far, but first of all, what's been everybody's kind of highlight of the group stages? We'll start with Wilson. What's kind of caught your eye during the group stages?
Well, my surprise that Holland won 3 games. To be honest, I didn't think they were much club. I know it was the pre-tournament friendly against Scotland. Didn't think they were much club. We managed to squeeze 3 victories. England again being completely lacklustre and nothing about them, yet coming away with 7 points is very frustrating as well. Again, I picked obviously I picked Scotland because I'm patriotic with that, but my dark horse is Sweden managed to make it through, and hopefully a wee victory.
Above Spain as well.
So I think it should be for all of us. The highlight was Wembley. You know, I think the performance of the team against them, which to be fair was a wee bit against the odds. But again, I would have liked Scotland maybe to score a couple of more goals. I think Scotland created a lot of chances in the 3 games, and they come away with 1 goal. I can understand there's been a wee bit of negativity towards Steve Clarke in recent days after going out against Croatia. But again, another highlight, I think, you know, watching Modric and at Hampden the other day was, you know, an education as well. And watching these guys, you know, just in games of this magnitude and still being able to perform at the highest level. So, as I say, I think the Scotland performance at Wembley and some individual talent has shone through in these rounds.
Definitely. Shankers, what's been your highlight of the group stage?
It's hard to pick one. I think just seeing Scotland back at a major tournament for the first time in my lifetime. I know they've been at a major tournament in my lifetime, but obviously I was too young to remember. So I think just watching Scotland, the buzz that the whole country had. It's hard to say Wembley was a highlight when obviously they didn't win, but I think just the performance that they put in, and just to show that they can compete at that level, although we didn't get out of the group, it's they kind of no put a marker down, but I think we were almost, how many goals were England going to beat us by was what all the talk was. So Billy Gilmour kind of breaking through into the team with that performance as well. Hopefully he'll be featured a lot more. So I think just overall seeing Scotland back at a major tournament for the first time in so long was probably my highlight. And rather than watching the Euros as a fan, rather than watching the Euros as a neutral for the tournament, watching it as a supporter was something that hopefully we'll be able to do again in the near future.
Here's hoping. Rory, what's been your highlight?
Obviously, retrospectively, as a Scotland fan, it's not a highlight anymore because we're out the tournament. But I don't know about you guys, but I was craving, I think I said in the show the other night, I was absolutely craving that one moment where you lose yourself and you just, whether it's for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it may be. And when Callum McGregor's goal went in, the whole country seen all the fan zones and them cutting to it and everybody's beer going up in the air and everyone jumping about kind of crazy, which, you know, I've seen at tournaments grown up all over the world for different countries. It's never been us. So I think when Callum McGregor's goal hit the back of the net, you know, jumping off your couch or your sofa, or jumping up in the pubs, or, you know, drinks going everywhere. I think from a Scotland point of view, if we had went through that full tournament and no had a moment like that, it would have been a shame. So I think if we're talking about a specific moment, like I said, the goal was meaningless now, but it was such an important goal at the time, and everyone just went tonto, and it was amazing. So that was probably the highlight for me.
Definitely.
The viewers will notice this because you can't see it, but I've just noticed Wilson's name.
Pikey changed that. That wasn't me. He changed that when I come on.
That's brilliant.
Because I couldn't spell Postacoglu.
I don't know how to change your name on it.
You said a bigger nightmare than Steve O'Donnell.
I was actually just going to interject here as Rory said that. As you well know, a lot of my friends I support the other team in Glasgow, and they said, we were talking about what was going to be on the show, and they said their highlight or beer swilling moment was when Stephen O'Donnell hit the target with that shot. They thought that was amazing.
I nearly walked away up when Callum McGregor scored. First time. Well, I was about to say it's the first time I've cheered them scoring a goal, but he scored that goal at Ibrox.
He scored one at Ibrox. Aye, absolutely. Credit where credit's due.
Definitely. But let's see who makes the grade in our team of the group stages. We're going to do all this individually. So we're just going to go around the table and everybody's going to give their team of the group stages. We'll start with Rory. Who makes your team?
So I went with a 3-5-2.
Okay.
Formation. I've gone with the goalkeeper. I wanted somebody who had a bit of work to do and contributed to the team qualifying. I think the likes of your Courtois and your, the Dutch goalie and things like that. They've kept 3 clean sheets. Belgium, haven't kept a clean sheet, but the team have done it rather than them having to pull off good saves. So I went with Danny Ward, the Wales goalkeeper.
Okay.
I think he made some big saves in the Switzerland game and big saves in the Turkey game. Finished with 4 points, and I think overall he's had a really good start to the tournament and massively contributed towards Wales qualifying. My 3 centre backs are, although he didn't play the last game, I went with Tyrone Mings. I thought he was incredibly unlucky to be dropped for the last game. I thought he was by far and away the best defender against Scotland for England. And I thought he had a really, really good game against Croatia as well. Next to him is Bonucci. I think it's hard to argue with how good the Italians have been. And I think the kind of big part of that is obviously the defence. And in terms of going forward, Italy are a team like we've never seen before from the Italians, but that base at the back is still paramount. So Bonucci's in there. I've tried to mix it up and get as many different players for different teams as possible. I think Lindelof's had a very good tournament as well. Clean sheet against the Spanish, another clean sheet as well the other night. And I think he's contributed as well towards Sweden's finished top of the group with 7 points ahead of a Spanish team. Getting a 0-0 draw against the Spaniards and getting your 2 wins, that's pretty much the perfect start to your campaign. And Lindelof's been at the heart of that in the defence. Left wing back is Spinazzola, if that's how you say it, from Italy. I think he's been a standout at wing back, especially in the first game. Again, I know some of these guys didn't play the last game, but that speaks volumes for already qualified, rest your best players. So he's been outstanding. And on the other side, Denzel Dumfries, who has been phenomenal to watch for that position. So he looks like he's going to score every attack, and he's a wing back. He's contributed massively going forward and looks solid defensively as well. The pivot, as they call it, I've went with Jorginho at the base of the 3. I think he's been excellent as well. And just in front of Jorginho, I've went with Wijnaldum and Pogba. I think some of Pogba's general all-round play, I know he's not maybe scored a goal or whatever else, but me and Shankers were discussing just how good that assist was the other night. He was phenomenal in the first game against Germany as well. He was brilliant. So went with him, Wijnaldum as well, as Wilson's touched on there. I know they had a kind of easier group, but I expected them to maybe struggle a little bit more than they have. And I think Wijnaldum's been a big part of that. He's the captain in Van Dijk's absence, and He's scoring goals. He's contributing offensively, defensively, and I think he's been phenomenal. Up front, Ronaldo, bit of a bog standard one. I think everyone would have him in their sides. Where he scored 5 goals, and he's he can be labelled at Ronaldo at times as well, that he just scores goals, but some of his general play and all round play, winning free kicks out the pitch and sucking players in, drawing fouls, and just his all round play, I think he's been phenomenal. And up with him is Schick from Czech Republic. Outstanding goal against ourselves, of course, in the first game. And well, it was a double. It was a great header as well. Tucks away the penalty nicely against Croatia, and exactly what we were missing. If we'd had Schick in our team, he'd have gobbled up a couple of those chances, and that can be the difference at this level. And I think Schick, Czech Republic versus Scotland, I think the Czechs would have seen that game the same. If we can win that one, what a chance we've got. And Schick was the difference. He was quality. So Ward, Lindelof, Bonucci, Mings, Dumfries, Spinazzola, Jorginho, Wijnaldum, Pogba, Ronaldo, and Schick.
Brilliant. Shankers, who you got on your team in the group stage?
I get Rory's point about the goalie, contributing and stuff like that, but I want my goalie to keep the ball at the net, so I've got Donnarumma, 3 shutouts, so he's in for me. Right back, I went for Dumfries as well.
What's your formation?
Sorry, it is 4-2-3-1.
4-2-3-1, cool.
Yep. 4 at the back. So right back, I've got Denzel Dumfries. He's been good defensively, but he's chipped in with a few goals as well. So goals win games for me. I've went Spinazzola as well, left back. We were talking in previous reviews of the games and stuff like that, how impressive he's been. I actually hadn't really heard him until I watched the first game, and then he caught my eye, and then he's been good every game since. I've went with Bonucci and Stones as my pairing. Both had a good tournament so far, and the most important thing I think is the defender is clean sheets, and they've had that. Stones was unlucky with the header against Scotland as well. My 2 in centre mid is Wijnaldum and Locatelli. Midfield goal scorers this tournament so far, both of them. I don't know if that's really Locatelli's game, but he scored 2 goals. I think it was the Switzerland game.
Mm-hmm.
He scored 2, so he's in there. Wijnaldum's chipped in. I think he's got 3 goals so far in this tournament, and his all-round play is top class. I'm gutted that he's leaving Liverpool to go to PSG, whatever they're getting, but he's in there. I think he. I don't know if he, because at Liverpool he's in amongst world-class players, and I don't know if at the national team whether it's because there's just a kind of him and Van Dijk are like kind of Depay as well as a probably kind of up there as top players. So I don't know if he kind of stands out because of that reason, but he's always really good watching Holland. The 3 behind the 3 in front of them on the right hand side, I went with Memphis Depay, or Depay, however you pronounce it. 2 goals, 2 assists so far in 3 games. I think that's a good record. As I said, I'm wanting goals and assists for my front players, and he's certainly done that. I'm playing Ronaldo off the left. That he's played there before. I know he's playing kind of more centrally with Portugal, but five goals, 3 games. I know a couple were penalties, but I don't really think they can argue that he's in the team of the group so far. In the middle of them, I went for Forsberg for Sweden. He's had 3 goals as well so far in the tournament. Sweden have topped that group when they probably weren't expecting to with Spain in it. So he's heavily contributed towards them topping the group. So he's in there. And up front on his own is Lukaku. I think he's all round game. Lukaku, I think he's the complete striker for me. Big, strong, he's quick. I don't know if anybody's seen the thing with Jamie Carragher on Sky when he's shown him when he gets the ball in tight and the defender's tight there, he just rolled him so easy. He says he's so confident when he gets the ball in that he's going to roll you. And one of his goals, I think it was against Finland, that exactly happens. Going defeat his role defender and finishes it, and sitting on 3 goals as well for the tournament, and looking well. They've got a tough tie in the next one, but if they get through that, they'll be there or thereabouts. So that's my team.
Brilliant.
Just on that, I seen that clip, Shankers, and Carragher was kitted out. I know as a young lad he was an Everton fan. He was kitted out in full Everton gear. Now the debate down the road about derbies and the biggest. I mean, that's a debate worldwide. But can you imagine Lorenzo Amoruso turning up at Parkhead in a Celtic kit, in a Celtic kit, or vice versa?
I know. Tom Boyd in a Rangers strip.
Aye, madness.
Sometimes he wore one, to be fair.
Right, Wilson, what's your team in the tournament so far?
Well, I spent a wee while on this, unfortunately. I didn't want to upset the viewers or my fellow panellists with some of my selections, so I've went John McLaughlin as the goalie, Nathan Patterson at right back, Hollander, Glenn Kamara, Billy Gilmer. That's really all I could put. That was that 5-a-side team, man. Didn't want to upset you three. Barisic is another one as well. No. So I went 3-4-3, and again, most of the players have already been picked. To be fair, I can agree with Shankers. I think if you keep clean sheets, then you've done your job. So I went for Jordan Pickford. Thought he made a couple of saves against Scotland. I'm hoping I'm cursing him the same way I did Callum Davidson in his St Johnstone team. He chucks a few in on Tuesday. But you could have went with any of the guys I think that have kept 3 clean sheets. So I opted for him. I agree with Rory. Tyrone Mings made my team as well. I think when he's played, he's been a defender. Done his job. I don't think he offers much attacking prowess. But
who's that? Sorry,
Tyrone Mings.
England players already.
Aye. You got to be fair. There's one you'll be well surprised at. I went for Delit as well. I think just young, because my other guys are a wee bit older as well in the back. I went with Boyata as well for Belgium. I thought he's played very well. I know they tend to get a lot of time on the ball. So my back 3, Mings, Boyata and Delit. Wide right, I've went Kimmich. A wide on the midfield.
What a player, man.
Yeah, just
my favourite player in the world.
Mikey loves him, man.
I love him.
Always just good, very good probably. And then the other side, Gareth Bale, who I think is just world class, and I think he's a big contribution in terms of just making the other Welsh players believe. I think with him and Ramsey, they've got 2 world class players in that squad, and I think he galvanised it a wee bit and can obviously was able to produce that bit of magic. I know he missed a penalty and whatnot, but I think just his presence galvanises that whole squad, to be honest.
To miss that penalty as well and then go and do what he did just shows his mentality, man. Mm-hmm. Like last minute, 1-0 down, taking the ball in the corner flag and skinning 2 people instead of just keeping it in there.
Yeah, I think he's an excellent player. I think he'll do well at Celtic next year. Again, I've got Wijnaldum. I think we spoke about him enough. I think he's a great tournament so far. And I know he's will laugh, but I've went for Glenn Kamara in my team. I think Finland have been okay. I think they've been quite unlucky. But every time, again, maybe the cameras are always on him because he plays here. But I think when you've seen him play, he actually was making them tick a wee bit. Yeah. And he always seemed to be on the ball or drawing a foul or being involved. He was always kind of there or thereabouts. So I actually think he's played well in the 3 games that he's played. So I would have that. And then I've got Ronaldo, Lukaku and Schick up front. Schick because 2 goals against Scotland were just class. He scored a penalty as well, so a wee bit of confidence. Lukaku's the ridiculous season into Milan. And as I say, Shankers already spoke about him. And Ronaldo as well. And as I say, folks seem to think hitting penalty kicks is fairly straightforward. But Harry Kane was made a knight of the realm for scoring penalty kicks at a World Cup. And Ronaldo just doesn't seem under any pressure.
Did you have Ronaldo down as a flop?
Probably, aye. But as I say, in the tournament so far, as I say, and I think I had Harry Kane as top scorer as well. So the viewers won't even listen to my team anyway. They'll probably pick for your guys. But again, I quite like being proved wrong. Like, as I say, it's penalties, but
seems that way. It happens a lot.
The pressure he's under. The pressure he's under to take those penalty kicks is absolutely class. So I've gave him a wee a wee
Do you think when he's running to take the penalty, Wilson, that in his head he's going, this could take us through, or do you think he's going, this is another goal for me?
Great question, by the way.
Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, I actually sometimes felt, I always remember the Champions League final against Chelsea, Man United, when Van der Sar saves an Elkers penalty, and your reaction, everyone piles forward to the goalie, whereas he kind of cried himself on the halfway line. I felt sometimes at Real Madrid, if Bale or someone else scored, they didn't really celebrate as well. But I think with Portugal, I think it might be slightly different. I think they're quite patriotic. You know, I remember when they got to the final the last time, he was dragging them through from the side of the park because he wasn't playing. But no, I think with Portugal it's slightly different at club level. Then I would tend to agree with it. It's a wee bit about him.
So that's your team. I'm going to go with.
Run through it. No, you're right.
Oh yeah, you go run through it quickly.
Pickford, Mings, Boyata, De Ligt, Bale, Wijnaldum, Kamara, Kimmich, Ronaldo, Lukaku, Shankers. Oh no, shit, sorry.
Shit.
Brilliant. I'm going to go for a 3-5-2 with the goalkeeper. I have a similar thought to Rory. I know Pickford and Donnarumma are the only two to keep clean sheets, but you went for Danny Ward. I'm going to go with somebody similar. I'm going to go with Sweden's Robin Olsen. I thought he had a terrific game against Spain. Kept a really good Spain side out. I think he's been probably the best goalkeeper of the tournament so far. So I'm going to put Olsen in at goalkeeper. 3 at the back. Bonucci straight in there. I think he's been the main man for Italy at the back. Simon Kjær at Denmark I've got. He's been probably the hero of the tournament for reasons other than football, but he's actually been very, very good for Denmark in that game against Belgium. I thought he was the best player in the park. Defensively, I think he's been rock solid.
We lost again.
Can't he stop Kevin De Bruyne though? Not even Wally Lyle can stop Kevin De Bruyne. But I'm torn between two for the third centre half position. I'm going with Aymeric Laporte for Spain. I think he's probably been Spain's best player in a tournament that's now been kind of up and down so far. I think Laporte's probably been a standout. I've picked him over John Stones. 5 in the midfield. First of all, my right wing backs. I went against.
Sorry, who were your 3 centre backs? You had
Laporte,
Bonucci,
Kjær, and Bonucci.
Yeah, right, okay.
Love to play against them.
5 in the midfield. My 2 wing backs are Denzel Dumfries at right wing back. I think you've said everything that needs to be said about Dumfries. He's been terrific attacking and defensively. Left wing back, Spinazzola. I think he's probably been the most consistent, but I think the best performance of the tournament's been Robin Gosens, but I put Spinazzola in just for his consistency over the 3 games. 3 in the midfield, Wijnaldum, as I've said, everything needs to be said there. Locatelli, I think his passing's been terrific. I think as well, he's scoring goals, he's keeping variety out of the team. I just think he's been one of the kind of main men for Italy. And I've went with Paul Pogba. I think, as you say, he's just a different player when he plays with France. So my 5 are Dumfries, Spinazzola, Pogba, Wijnaldum and Locatelli. And my 2 up front are Lukaku and Ronaldo. I think, as I've said, everything needs to be said there. So Olsen, Laporte, Kjær, Bonucci, Dumfries, Pogba, Wijnaldum, Locatelli, Spinazzola, Lukaku and Ronaldo. So that's at my team.
Albert, by that team, the more I will beat them 1-0.
Who's like, we'll touch on a couple of questions as well before we get into our brackets. Wilson, out of 10, what would you grade Scotland's performance at the Euros?
Oh, very difficult. Again, I think. I've been saying it for a long time. I'm obviously old enough to remember multiple tournaments, and I think when you get there, are you happy just to be there? Is that the mentality we're at just now? Again, it was a wee bit. The performances for me were okay. They were probably a wee bit higher than I expected. Again, but it's a wee bit the same story. You get yourself up for the England game, and you forget about how good the Czechs were and how good Croatia were. You can look at it. Scoring 1 goal in 3 games. Maybe not great. But I think performances wise, then you'd look a wee bit higher. So it's probably middle of the road for me. 5 out of 10. I think we can do better, but I still believe we're missing a number 9. And I think to a certain extent we're missing a goalkeeper. Not that, maybe Schick's second goal, David Marshall. I never, even when he was saving penalties in those shootouts, I never ever felt David Marshall was a number 1 choice goalkeeper. and I said it on here, and most folk probably agreed, and maybe it did happen, but Steve Clarke should have been just chapping Alan McGregor's door every single day after his work, begging him to come and play. He was on fire all season. He's been fired most of his career, to be fair, but he was on fire this season. And if he'd have carried it through, you know, a few games, not that, I mean, I don't think the second goal against the Czechs would have happened. The first one, like any goal in the world would have saved.
I guess the demands he puts on other players as well. You don't want
Yes.
to make a mistake if McGregor's in goals.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, Rory. Absolutely. So I'm never confident in David Marshall. He's a good goalie. He's good. He's not great though, and I think that's what you need, especially. I mean, we've all listed maybe 3 or 4 goalies we could have put in that team. You know, so it shows you the standard that you need. So I would go middle of the road, 5 out of 10. Happy to be there. Performances were okay. Wembley was a highlight again, but again, it showed a wee bit
If that's what you would rate the team, what if you had to just rate Steve Clarke out of 10 for his managerial performance?
I love him.
Where would you have him?
Again, what only kind of tactically. Again, it's all hindsight. I think the first game against the Czech Republic, the substitutions were delayed. But is he looking, saying, right, it's 2-0. If I go and gamble this, it can end up 5 or 6. I agree he should have made the subs earlier. I think against England, he got it spot on. I don't think there could be much complaint. And again, against Croatia, I was looking at the team and thinking, I think we could harm them. But I'm always, you guys will know because of the levels you've played at, especially when Shankers is at Liverpool. There's one bad performance merit you being dropped, and maybe different in tournament football rather than over a season. You know, that's a hard one. As I say, I felt Lyndon Dykes against England was okay. I think he set the tone early, giving Shaw a bit of a done, and I think they kind of, wait a minute here, this is going to be a bit more physical. The game against Croatia just completely passed them by. And whereas I hate to criticise Steve Clarke, a stronger manager would have done what he did in the first game. Christie, you're not doing it, you're off at half time. Dykes, you're not doing it off at half time. Maybe a wee bit more ruthless in his substitutions. But here, again, and it goes back to the balance, I'd be happy to be there. But again, I also felt, you know, where have those Callum McGregor performances been? I thought he was excellent against the Czechs and the Croatians. You know, where have these performances been? Is he doing a bit of a Pogba? You know, I'm playing for a move here on the world stage, you know, so I'll turn up. Because let's be honest, he hasn't turned up all season for Celtic, and Pogba's really not turned up this season for Man United, but they go to these events playing against a much higher class of player and best players on the park. But it's hard to criticise, but I can definitely see there was the substitutions were a wee bit baffling at times, to be honest. And I think Wally Lyle must have been injured if he brought on Scott McKenna. That was the most bizarre one for me. I would just.
I think that was more because he thought that he was the closest player to Hanley instead of.
There's obviously a rationale behind it, but they must have none of the mannequins left for the training sessions. I just don't think McKenna's even at Notts Forest level. To be honest, I don't think he offers anything different to what, you know, a Declan Gallagher or any of these centre halves do. I mean,
has he played down at Forest?
I think he does. But
the partnership at Nottingham Forest, Scott McKenna and Joe Worrell.
Joe Worrell, aye, he's there as well. So
Ian Graham Walton McGee, man, absolutely.
So I would, and you know, a guy I watched the Czech Republic game made a good point. You know, he feels maybe 5 or 6 of these boys that started possibly in that squad won't play for Scotland again now. Do
you think so?
Well, I can see his point. So for example, for me, you know, there's a lot of hype about the boy Patterson. No, Patterson needs to do what Gilmour does. Come in his next game and play excellent, and he'll play. Therefore, Stephen O'Donnell does not play for Scotland again, unless Patterson project's injured or something, because Stephen O'Donnell's a wee bit older, you know. You're looking at the emergence of Billy Gilmour. If Billy Gilmour continues to play like that, is it like some maybe who's going to miss out? Is it going to be Armstrong? Is it going to be McTominay? Is it going to be McGregor? So one of them's not going to play if Gilmour's fit. You know, you look, Dykes is a bit of criticism. Is he going to start? Or is he going to look to play with Adams and McGinn or whatever it is? You know, the Ryan Christie subbed at half-time in the first game, didn't feature again. You know, so there's a few there. There's a few there. Jack Hendry came in, played the first game. Cheerio. So it's definitely, it's good to have options. It's good to have a big squad and a wee bit to choose from. But I just don't know, and this is where I kind of have my reservations about Sir Steve. Is he going to start the World Cup qualifiers with Gilmour, Patterson, and bring this flesh blood in, or is he going to play this kind of loyalty card? You know, because it's big games, experienced players maybe do a wee bit better and continue the way it's going. I don't know. So I'll go back to the question you asked 45 minutes ago, Rory. I'll go 7 out of 10 for Sir Steve. 7.
Brilliant. Tommy Griffin's asked, do you think the English national team is really overhyped in the media, or is it that they underachieve in major tournaments in comparison to the expectations? We'll give this to Rory. We'll start with Rory. Do you think the English team's overhyped in the media?
Both. I would say they're overhyped in the media, absolutely. But I would also say they underachieved. Don't get me wrong. Semi-finals at the last World Cup, kind of setting that aside and looking at their performances out with that. Even at the last World Cup, you know, Colombia on penalties, drawn Sweden, and then, you know, teams you would expect them to beat, teams that would comfortably beat in qualifying. Appreciate Colombia obviously wouldn't be in their qualifying group, but you know what I mean. These types of teams they blow away, but they always seem to struggle against when it comes to these kind of major tournaments. So I think it's a mixture of both. I listen. I mean, turned on Sky Sports News and yesterday morning, you know, the game the whole world's talking about was the announcement, England-Germany, and I was thinking, really? And it's getting that perspective of seeing Germany. Do they see England? Do they see that as this big historic thing that they go back years and years? Or do Germany maybe see Spain or France or Italy as their biggest contenders? But we are exposed to the English media on a daily basis, so we can't escape it. So we start to believe these things because it's impossible not to when you're getting fed that constantly. But I would say it's a mixture of both, probably. I do think that historically they're capable of doing far better, especially that kind of golden era they talk about with your Lampards, Gerrards, Michael Owens and things like that, John Terry at the back. They should have done better in major tournaments. Yet, you know, the media would have you believe that every single team in the tournament wants to avoid England. So a balance of both. But I genuinely believe that on paper, England have had much stronger teams in my lifetime, much stronger teams, but they've not been able to handle the pressure. I think at the World Cup it played into their favour last time that they weren't really expected to do much, and I think that helped a lot of players. When push comes to shove, I think they'll be beaten on Tuesday by hook or by crook. It might be penalties again, it might be extra. I don't know. I think England will feel the pressure far more than the Germans will. But to answer your questions, it's sickening listening to some of the media coverage that comes out of England, especially having scored. You know, Wilson touched on it at the top of the show. They've been mediocre at best. And it was actually great to see Gilmour, McGregor and McGinn play so well against England, because they had Calvin Phillips on a pedestal at one point. He was player of the tournament at half-time against Croatia and it was 0-0. So it was quite nice to see the Scottish players going in and proving that theory wrong, because it was ridiculous to start with. So Calvin Phillips is an example of the English media. And you could have possibly level at us as well, you know, with the Billy Gilmour thing. But I just think that it's a poison chalice playing for England and being the England manager. It's almost impossible unless you win the thing. So I'm sick of listening to the English media, and I think that come Tuesday night they'll all be crying at their pillows.
Shankers, what's your thoughts?
I kind of, me and my pals were talking about it. I think, and I feel sorry for the players, as they're almost set up there to be shot at before the tournament started because of the media, as Rory says. So I kind of feel sorry for them to a certain extent. I think I've always been one, if the golden generation of players, if they couldn't win it, well, this team isn't going to win it. And then they got to the World Cup semi-finals, brought out a DVD. You know what I mean? They don't do themselves any favours when you think about it. But the only difference I see this time is I think they've got a lot of players that think there was a lot of pressure on, like your likes of Rooney's, Gerrard's, Lampard's, etc. And I think they felt the pressure. Whereas, see, this time I think they've got a lot of players, young players like Sterling, Mount, Foden, Relish, etc. I think a lot of them maybe no thriving pressure, but don't really feel the pressure. They're just so young and maybe not naive, but they're just young and good and play football and treat every game the same. Maybe, and that's the only thing that I think could work in their favour ever so slightly. That I'm not saying they don't care, but they just whether it's a pre-season friendly or whether it's the Champions League final, I think they all play the same way all the time, and I think that can only play in England's favour. But as the question is, are they overhyped? I think they are by their own people. I think that's the only thing. It's no criticism of the players themselves or Southgate, but it's a hard one, and they probably should be doing better than what they. I think, mind you, the World Cup 2018, I think getting to that semi-final was probably a bit the limit kind of thing. So they're probably underachieving most of the other years. I think they got the best out of the squad that they had that year. Mind you, Eric Dyer was in it, and they got to the World Cup semi-final.
Wilson, what's your thoughts on it? You're probably an interesting person to ask about this because you've been about since '66 when the overhype train was at its highest. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Rory said it all, to be honest. Although the only thing I would disagree was, I think England are more than capable of taking a few off Germany on Tuesday. I agree with what Shankers said as well in terms of, I mean, I've seen some unbelievable England squads over the years, and they've came up short, especially in Euros. World Cup's a wee bit different, and they haven't won anything. But if you look back, and I know these are young pups, if you look back though, the Germany squad, for example, of 1990 was unbelievable. They were all better than each individual England player at that time. You know, Klinsmann and Voller at the time were better than Lineker and Beardsley, whoever it was at the time. You go back, you know, 2006, 8 and 10 with the World Cup Euros when Spain won it. Every Spanish player was better than probably every English player at the time. You know, and that's where your Gerrards, Lampards, etc., you know, didn't win anything. This time, I don't think there's an outstanding team in this Euros.
Spain and Germany didn't put England out, but we're getting put out of Iceland and fucking.
Oh, that was a wee bit more recent. I just mean like
Portugal as well.
In 1990, West Germany put them out. You know, France '98 was Argentina. They had a great team at the time as well. Now, England had a great team as well, but I just always felt it was better elsewhere. Yeah. I felt England were better than Croatia at the last World Cup, even though England got there with 26 penalties.
You're obsessed with penalties, mate.
Croatia done them the favour. They've done everyone a favour by putting them out. But I don't think in this tournament there's an outstanding team in Europe just now where every player is like on the top of their game like the Spanish guys did 3 tournaments in a row. And I just think the side of the draw, then let's let everybody into Wembley for the quarters, semis and final. England are getting everything on a plate, you know, to win this tournament. And that's unfortunately where I think they're more than capable of taking goals off Germany. I don't think it's a great German team at all Tuesday. And I'd be very, very surprised if England are not in the final.
Right, let's get to our predictions for the next few weeks, because obviously we've got brackets here, and we're going to put these out on social media so we can hold everybody to account for the predictions. We'll start with Wilson. We've got eight last 16 games. We're going to go a route from here to the final. Belgium, Portugal. Who you got? Belgium.
You want a score or just a team?
Just a team.
Belgium.
Team. Italy, Austria.
Italy.
France, Switzerland.
France.
Croatia, Spain.
Spain.
Sweden, Ukraine.
Sweden.
England, Germany.
England.
Netherlands, Czech Republic.
I think that'll be the closest one, but I think the Netherlands will get through in that one.
And finally, the last tie of the round of 16, Wales and Denmark.
I think Wales.
So we'll move on to the quarterfinals. Belgium, Italy.
Belgium.
France, Spain.
France.
Sweden, England.
England.
And the Netherlands against Wales.
Netherlands.
Semi-finals, Belgium, France,
Belgium. I'll stick with Belgium.
and England and the Netherlands.
England.
So a Belgium-England final. Who wins the Euros?
Who was it? Belgium and
England.
this is like, remember you used to play FIFA back in the day and you couldn't be asked playing the game, so you press square and just skip the full tournament.
Simulate.
I'll go. I think I took Belgium on the show when we were on at the start of the tournament. So I'll
go
stick
England.
I'll stick with Belgium then.
So
That means he'll
Belgium,
win tomorrow probably.
Belgium to win it. So Wilson's got Belgium to win it. We'll go with Shankers next. Belgium, Portugal.
Portugal.
Portugal, Italy, Austria.
Italy.
France, Switzerland.
France.
Croatia, Spain.
Spain.
Sweden, Ukraine.
Sweden.
England, Germany.
Germany.
Netherlands, Czech Republic.
Netherlands.
And Wales, Denmark.
Wales.
So into the quarterfinals, Portugal, Italy.
See, the thing is, I only done the last 16. I thought we're just doing a prediction for last 16. So this
No.
is just off the top of my head. Portugal.
Wing it. Portugal. France, Spain.
France.
Sweden, Germany.
Germany.
Netherlands, Wales.
Netherlands.
So into the semi-finals, Portugal, France,
France.
and Germany, Netherlands.
Germany.
Final, a rematch of Group E, the first game in Group F, France, Germany. Who wins the Euros?
France.
France. So Shankers has got France. Rory, Belgium, Portugal.
Belgium,
Italy, Austria.
Italy,
France, Switzerland.
France,
Croatia, Spain.
Croatia,
Sweden, Ukraine.
Ukraine,
England, Germany.
Germany,
Netherlands, Czech Republic.
Netherlands,
Wales, Denmark.
Wales,
So into the quarterfinals, Belgium versus Italy.
Italy,
France, Croatia.
France,
Ukraine, Germany.
Germany.
Netherlands, Wales.
It's just something about Wales again this year. Like I'm going to go Wales. I'm going to see them
Wales.
get to the semi again. Aye.
So you've got Wales reaching the semi-final. The semi-finals, Italy, France.
Italy,
Big call. And Germany, Wales.
Germany,
So Italy, Germany final. Who wins the Euros?
Italy.
So you've got Italy.
Big call.
Big
You know what I
call.
will say? See the England Germany game. I think whoever wins that game gets the final. Because see when you see that side of the tie, if it goes the way the favourites are winning it, I think Netherlands are the other big nation that will have a chance to get to the semi. So it'll be England or Germany versus the Netherlands, I think. So
How are you working it, Pikey? Are we getting scores for each one we get right? But it goes through to the next round or what?
I will do something like that. Yeah, just a predictor to put out for the rest of the tournament. So if we
If Bobby Madden's getting any game, Shankers, then the Dutch will get to the final, I would think, with the orange strips. I think he'll be rooting them on, to be honest. So
there's no Scottish refs. And I don't think you can be too surprised.
well, it's got getting themselves warmed up for 56. That's fine.
right, let's look at the two games tomorrow in depth. Wales play Denmark tomorrow.
Sorry, Scott, are you going to give us yours?
I'll get you. Who's going to read them out?
I'll
Maybe not in order. No.
right. Wales, Denmark,
Denmark,
Italy, Austria,
Italy,
Holland, Czech Republic,
Holland,
Belgium, Portugal.
Belgium.
Croatia, Spain.
Spain, only just.
Just Croatia, Spain. France, Switzerland.
France.
And England, Germany.
Germany in penalties. That's my call.
Penalties. I've got a few written down penalties. Spain and Sweden are both winning penalties in
Can
mine.
you imagine the media if they're losing penalties?
I know.
No.
Jesus, man.
No.
Just think.
And
It's
Sweden versus Ukraine.
Sweden.
So that leaves. What does that leave?
Belgium, Italy in the
This is-
quarterfinals. You want me to just read?
Belgium,
You
Italy
want
in the quarterfinals. So
Italy.
who's winning that?
Italy for me. France plays Spain. I'm going to go with
plays
France.
Spain. That's France. What did you say in the Wales-Denmark one?
I said Denmark. I think Denmark will beat
against
Holland.
Holland, and Sweden are playing
Germany.
England or Germany. Germany.
I'm going to go for Germany.
Yeah, you was all doing it yourself because
I've got it written. I've got it written down here.
I've not got the hang in front.
Aye, just read yours out, Pikey.
Italy, France semi-final. I'm going to go with Italy. And Germany, Denmark semi-final. I'm going to go with Germany. Germany, Italy final. I've said Germany all along. Germany for me. So that would be. We've gone with 4 different winners. So
It wouldn't surprise me if Germany go and win 15 minutes figuring out the whole tournament, and then they could end up.
do you
They've
know how
got a great chance.
do you know how I see the game going? Right. See if England get through Germany for pace. But England have got the pace to hurt Germany because I think the likes of Hummels at the back is a big worry pace-wise. If England exploit that, I think England will win. But
Comes back to mentality though, because I think if England were 15 minutes for going out, they'd be panicking and throwing the kitchen sink at it. The
I think
Germans
Germany,
don't do that.
I think Germany have got the
Low
mentality
just
to
sniffs
win
his
this
fingers
game.
and gets on with it.
Aye.
I just think England are just better than them. I think they've got better players than now. And as I say,
Big call.
I think
I've
I
got
don't.
2% battery left, by the way, so I might cut off in a second.
Aye, that's fine. We'll wrap up there.
Likes of Foden and that haven't started yet, so that's why I'm going with England.
Brilliant. But we'll touch on the 2 games quickly before Rory cuts out and we finish the show up. Wales, Denmark. What we thinking, Wilson? What's the?
I hope Wales win, but I hope Wales win. No disrespect to Denmark. I know they've had a kind of troubled tournament with the Ericsson situation.
Disgrace.
I like. I'm a big fan of Gareth Bale, and I like John Hartson on the commentary. So I hope Wales beat them.
Give us a score.
5-3 in penalties, Wales.
Big call. Shankers, what we got for Wales, Denmark?
I think Wales will win 1-0 and their man Bale will score.
Rory?
2-0 Wales. Bale and Ramsey, 2-0.
I'm going to go with 2-1 Denmark. I think we will see Poulsen and Højbjerg got a goal. He scored. He's 3 assists. Højbjerg will get a goal eventually. I'm going for Denmark.
I do not want a third place team to win it or even go through. Doesn't matter in that. Can I win one game and then win a tournament? Anyway,
Both teams
sorry.
finished second.
No, the number.
Aye, Denmark finished second.
With 3 points?
Yeah.
Aye, because they won 4-1 in goal difference.
They went through in goal difference because Finland and Austria finished.
They should still do it. Should still get him.
And at 8 o'clock at Wembley, we have Italy versus Austria. Is this an Italy formality, Wilson, do we think?
Yeah, 2-0 Italy. Comfortable.
Shankers?
3-0 Italy I've got.
Rory?
Austria scored a good few goals. They look quite dangerous on the attack. So I'll get them to notch and I'll go 3-1 Italy.
I'll go 3-1 Italy. And that is it. That's our games. We'll
See just on the England thing, we're going to put out there, England will never win a tournament with Rice and Phillips as a centre mid pairing.
I don't think they've been that bad, either of the two of them.
They've not been that bad, but they're not good enough to win the tournament.
Maybe no, but do you not think it's more going forward?
Fuck me, man.
It's the full backs in the front 4 though that's the danger.
Aye.
They're just in there to kick folk.
What about Sancho? Do we think Sancho could start on Tuesday?
They scored 2 goals, but they are. I agree with Wilson. They've got the players going forward, but they've scored 2 goals.
Surely Sancho's made for a game like this. He knows that. He knows the opponents. He knows what he's up against. Even if he doesn't start, bring him on with half an hour to go.
They'll know him.
Aye.
You can't not play a minute and then start in the last 16 in such a big game like that.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Totally get what you're saying.
I'll be sitting here with a Germany strap on, don't make no bones about it. Then I'll be praying they get beat. But the way I look at it is I'm expecting Foden and Mount and all that to turn up because they haven't so far. And as I say,
that's the beauty of tournament football, Wilson. The best team doesn't always win. And I think the mentality comes into it. And that's why I think the Germans will just do it.
Do you agree with Shankers' statement that whoever wins that game gets the final?
Yeah.
Well, we both have them in the final, didn't we? You just asked us.
I didn't even think of that question, to be honest. Brilliant, but we're going to wrap up the show there. I just want to thank Wilson, Shankers and Rory for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. The dream team's back together. Brilliant.
I can't wait to look later on the tournament and see how miles off I was.
Yeah, we're going to post these tomorrow.
Austria lift the cup, we're all at that.
I meant to ask, did St Johnson get relegated this year?
Brilliant, but we're going to be back tomorrow night with a review show of the two games on Saturday. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Follow us on social media and subscribe to us on YouTube and podcasts. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.